All right, this is going to be an initial coaching session. There's a few key things that we need to make sure that we do in an initial assessment. First, we want to obviously build rapport and trust with that individual, and so we want to make sure that we're getting to know them and that we're asking a lot of open-ended questions. We want to make them feel as comfortable as possible, get as much information as we can to help them, but also not overwhelm them with a lot of information that we're telling them, because they aren't going to have a lot of key takeaways at that moment. We'll want to make sure that we're being very honest in the beginning, letting them know that we are HIPAA compliant, that we will not divulge any personal information to their employer or to anybody else for that matter. All of our information that we will be collecting from them is used for personal use only, to help them in their wellness journey, and that we're not going to be using this information to have their rates altered against their employer for things that they can't control. There's always going to be an alternative to the pathway that their employer wants to go in order for the individual to feel safe in the workplace and to feel like they're not being discriminated against. And we'll also want to make sure that if a client is sharing information that's hurtful to themselves, that we do need to divulge that information at some point, such as, suicide or things like that. But we are having Sid help us. She is an actor. She is not an actual client. And so the information that she's telling us is false information, and so we won't be, airing her private information. So an initial assessment, obviously they've never met you, so obviously introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Heidi.
Hi Heidi, I'm Sydney.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So a lot of times you already have a lot of the details for why the company chose to set up a wellness program and that type of thing. And so if the individual isn't feeling very comfortable with the thing you were going to be doing as far as facilitating discussion, then you'll want to give them more insight as to what coaching looks like. And so, Sid, tell me, have you ever had a coaching session before?
I haven't. This is my first one.
Great. So let me kind of explain what coaching is about and what we're here to do for you. We are here to help facilitate discussion and hopefully lead into some positive behavior change, whatever that may look like for you. This is your wellness journey, and so we want to make sure that it's your goals and your ideas that we're helping you achieve. We're just here to be your cheerleader and help you be held accountable and to really help give you the information, knowledge, and power to be successful in your goals. And so I want this to be an opportunity for you to be the one talking and discussing the things that you're liking or wanting to work on, as opposed to me sharing about myself. Does that sound good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, great. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a single mom, obviously work full time. I have 2 kids. I used to be very active before I had children, but now I find that most of my time goes to taking care of them, of course, being a single parent and all. So I used to really love running. I don't really get to do that anymore. It's something I would like to incorporate. And also, I would like to teach my children, some healthy eating habits and kind of incorporate them into, physical activity too.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you have a lot of goals and initiatives that you're looking to implement. Tell me, have you been successful in the past to start running since you've had children?
No, I always think that I want to try, and that I'm going to wake up in the morning, but then I've got a little one like tugging at me that needs something, or after work, you have to go and make dinner. And so I'm sure that I could make time if I really planned it out well, but I just don't really know where to begin.
Okay, so tell me, why do you want to make these changes? What would change for you if you started running or had healthier habits?
I just always felt better when I was in a better exercise routine. And then, like I said, I want to teach my children some good habits. And if they see me exercising, then, then they're more inclined to take on the same habits. So.
Good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your importance of starting to run or starting some type of exercise routine right now today?
7.
7, okay. So you feel pretty motivated to make that change. You're just trying to figure out in your life how you can make that happen. Okay, so have you started doing anything with your children to include them, going on walks, potentially maybe to the park or just around the block or things like that? Have you?
Yeah, now that it's getting warm, we've got bikes, so we're gonna start going on bike rides. I try to take the dog on a walk every night and include them with that, and so little things.
Okay, great. So you're just looking for more strenuous exercise that you can do. Do you have access to any equipment, to a gym? Do you have a treadmill or anything like that?
I do have a gym membership. I don't use it very often because it just seems like such a challenge to get up and get there, and it's just a lot nicer to think about getting up and just heading outside or doing something at home.
Okay, so you'd prefer to work out at home at this point?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely with the weather being warmer, it's a lot easier to go outside. How old are your kids?
They are 4 and 6.
Okay, so like you said, the bikes would be great. You could go along with them. If you have a jogging stroller, it would be a good place to pack your kids into, and so you're able to take them with you but not be feeling like you're being pulled back because they're not able to travel very quickly. It's great to even start with 20 to 30 minutes, 2 to 3 days a week if possible. Is there any days in your life that you feel like would be easier to kind of get that in? Do you ever have any help or could find ways to incorporate more strenuous activity?
I think it would be nice maybe once a week if I could find somebody to come and take over the little ones, maybe on an evening, so that I could kind of have that time for myself too.
Okay, you feel like that's realistic?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so maybe we'll start with 1 day a week, trying to figure out, is there a set day that would work better for you?
I would say Wednesdays.
Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with 1 day a week, trying to get in some more strenuous activity, and then maybe 2 or 3 other days throughout the month or the week. Really try to focus on just being active outdoors with your kids. If you're not able to go outside, if it's raining or things like that, then doing something fun inside, just dance on the Wii, or making an obstacle course in your house. If you have stairs, run up and down the stairs, doing push-ups with your kids or things like that. It really doesn't have to be a strenuous thing to get them involved and they think it's fun, to make your kids more engaged. So exercise is great. It sounds like that helped you feel like you had more energy. Tell me about your nutrition. What do you eat?
I'm pretty healthy. I don't have a lot of sweets in the house, and I try to encourage eating vegetables. I do have my weak moments, but I think for the most part, I'm pretty good.
Okay. Do you eat breakfast?
I try.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to get up and make the kids breakfast, and so I try to incorporate in some on my own.
Okay. Do you eat, would you say every 2 to 3 hours, or are you eating, once or twice a day? Tell me about your eating schedule.
I usually try to eat breakfast, I would say 3 meals a day.
Okay, perfect. Do you feel like you're, content with that? Or are you wanting to make some changes? Do you feel like you'd feel a little bit more energized if you're eating a little bit more frequent throughout the day?
Yeah, probably. One of the problems I have is by lunchtime, I'm starving, and so I might overeat a little bit at lunch. So maybe if I had, if I could kind of eat a few times during the day, then, by the time lunch or even dinner, I get home and just starving. So maybe if I could eat a little bit more throughout the day.
Okay. Do you bring in your lunch to work, or do you typically go out to eat?
It's a mix. It just depends. I bring it, maybe 3-4 days a week, and then eat out 2 days a week.
Okay, so when you are successful at bringing your lunch in, do you typically have a little bit more time to bring in lunch, that you're able to maybe grab some additional snacks, or are you just not having food available at home to grab, or?
It's a mixture of both. When I take the time to actually kind of prepare some stuff at home and bring it, then I feel like I'm really successful throughout the week. But then if I don't take that time, then those are the days that I'm more tempted to go out and eat because I just don't have anything.
So tell me, do you feel like the exercise is more important to you right now? Do you feel like you want to focus on nutrition? Sounds like your overall goal is just having more energy and leading a healthy, active lifestyle. You don't really have any weight loss goals or anything like that. So what do you feel like you want to focus on?
I would say the exercise.
Perfect.
Being more active.
Okay. Well, let's try and focus on that one day right now on Wednesday or Thursday night. See how we can get that to work. Do you feel like that would be realistic for this month?
I feel like it would be.
Okay, so typically each month, we'll check in, we'll set specific goals. I'm here as a resource for you to, if you need education on workouts, things to do at home, running techniques, tips, things like that. We have a whole pool of resources that we can grab from, and we're here to really help you be successful in those goals. So feel free to reach out throughout the month if you have specific questions. If not, we'll be here touching base every month. But what we like to do in addition to talking about goals and things like that is taking measurements. Would you be okay with that today? Okay, so we do 3 measurements. We take your weight, body fat, which also gives us a BMI reading, which is your height to weight ratio, and then we do your blood pressure, which also gives us your resting heart rate. And the reason we do those metrics are to kind of help diagnose you with disease if or alert you of things that might be of a concern that you might want to check with your physician about. Also, it's a great way to help hold you accountable if you're looking to see if it's actually working to improve your overall fitness level. And then once a year we do fitness testing, which is great. You can see if the running is actually helping pay off on your cardiovascular health. Okay?
Great.